Welcome to another webinar session on gaming as such. This is a topic which we have in our gaming programs, especially our 3D digital game art and design, which is a new program offered to all the centers. So there are these couple of modules on game concept, game idea, and how to create a game design document. So all of these are some modules which I wanted you guys to have an understanding of how to deliver these topics in class. So we'll start with the game concept itself. Every game has a concept. Okay, it starts with a concept, an idea of what the player experience will be. It's a vision of the world coming to life on screen. Okay. The challenge, once this idea takes shape in the creator's mind, is to fix it and communicate it to everyone involved in the game development process. So there is a team involved in kind of creating this game concept and further the entire game design document. So this the obviously the idea has to be uh, kind of very clear and communicative to the entire team. So how to write a game concept and the responsibility of a game designer in the process of writing a game concept. Like I discussed in other sessions also, the game designer is the one who actually comes up with not the game idea or the game concept. Okay, they might get a kind of idea from various sources, but they are the ones who play games. They are the ones who understand gameplay, game experience, or players' experience as such. And further, they are the ones who come up with these amazing idea for games. So it's the responsibility of a game designer to in the process of writing a game concept. Okay, so how do they write a game concept? What is a game concept to start with? So imagine a game that you have played from beginning to end, or one that you have simply loved and played for a long time. It can be anything. It can be Unreal or a game we played way back in the early 2000s, or it can be any FIFA or any kind of Call of Duty game which you really like. Okay, and you describe that game, okay, in 2 to 5 pages. So what do you describe in that? You describe why is it fun, okay, how do you play it, what it looks like, and what is the kind of player's experience, the fun in the experience that you enjoy playing that game. Okay, so now turn it around and uh, kind of think about a game that you uh, have never played, or that it doesn't even exist yet, and now you describe it. Okay, so this is how this is like an exercise for students of gaming, that they come up with this. Now firstly they describe the game that they really like or have played now for so many years, and now they have to come up with a new game concept. Okay, wherein they obviously describe a new game. Why is it fun? How do you play it? What would it look like in terms of concept art? What is the playing experience in terms of gameplay, game mechanics, all that? So that vision and the presentation of it all is called the game concept. It is the game concept. How do you present the kind of a game which doesn't exist, but you kind of conceive it, visualize it, and describe it. So what is the purpose of a game concept? Now, the purpose is to describe a game with enough detail to distill and communicate its vision to the reader. so that people can visualize it in terms of in their own kind of they can visualize in terms of how much fun it would be. So your description of the game concept actually now helps in others to clearly understand what the game is all about. Okay. So the vision behind the game should be clearly documented and communicated to the entire team, whether it's technical or creative. The game concept document stays focused on the core aspect of the game. So that is very important. And finally, it describes what the game and is all about and what the team puts into it. So that is the purpose of the game. So one of the main responsibilities of every game designer is to make sure that every stage of game development, the vision behind the game is clearly documented and communicated to the team. One of the first steps in game development process is the game concept. And the game concept is the most abstract document. So it is paramount that it stays focused on the core aspect of the game. A game concept is also a holistic view of the game as such. And uh, it describes the game, what the team is going to put into it, not just the designers. It contains early artwork, technical and marketing information also. So let's come to how do you write a game document? What is the structure of a game document as such? Okay, you start with an introduction, which is also called the hook or the elevator pitch. You describe your game as in a game overview. You list the key features of the game, which includes its unique selling points. You describe what is a game genre, whether it's action, whether it's role-playing games, whether it's a fantasy game, what kind of genre is the game all about, action, uh, first-player shooter, what kind of game genre it is, what is the platform that you want to kind of create it, whether it's iOS or Android, or whether it's for console or for any other platform, web. And finally, the target audience of it. So what is your target audience? Is it a very mature game, or is it for teenagers, or is it for all walks of all age groups? What kind of target audience are you looking at? So it is always a good idea to treat a game as a commercial product. Okay, so a game is created for people willing to buy it, play it, and even talk about it. Okay, that is why the game concept needs to go beyond a simple description of the game. You have to think about a game concept as a selling tool, as a sales tool, because when you're actually showcasing it to a publisher, you're actually selling your idea to the publisher and making him or her excited about the entire pitch of the game concept. There are 10 ways to come up with a game idea. Okay, so this is important in terms of where do game ideas come from, and how do how do you come up with these interesting game ideas? Is there some kind of a best practice or some kind of ways that you can come up with a game idea? One of the Now there are 10 different ways. The first one is you choose your favorite game, okay, deconstruct it, further model and improve it. Now this is the most popular way of going about it for anybody who wants to create a game. So you deconstruct your favorite game, you understand what you like about this game, besides you what others like about this game as well, and further you not model that. Now you don't copy it, you model it in terms of improve on over it and create your own version of it. Okay, so there is a very thin line in terms of copying and remodeling and improving. Secondly is you you try playing games outside your favorite genre. So you understand what others like, you understand uh, things that you haven't experienced. Third, which is more important in terms of content, you watch movies, you watch TV series, web series, you watch, go and watch theater, you read books, and you come up with these interesting ideas for your games. Fifth is think on how you can turn your interest outside gaming into a game. Say, for example, you like making wine, you like trekking, or some of the other outdoor interest or other interest, a hobby that you have, which you can actually turn it into a game. Sixth is go to flash gaming sites. Okay, there are a lot of flash gaming sites which actually help you in terms of identifying a game, or old game, and which you can kind of remodel and improve into your version of the game. Okay, one of the example is Angry Birds, the most popular game. It was actually a remodel of an earlier Flash game called Crush the Castle. So Crush the Castle was an old Flash game. They kind of remodeled it, improved on it, improvised on it, and made a very different take, which was called the Angry Birds, which became the most popular game amongst the entire world. Finally, you play games. The more you play games, the more you get an idea of what you want to kind of create in terms of the player's experience, in terms of gameplay itself. Eighth is you go to forum boards and kind of discuss and see what people are writing about it, and kind of understand some new thoughts of uh, people who are into this gaming industry. Finally, ninth point is you kind of visit game jams. What are game jams? Game jams are a kind of event where these gamers or game designers and developers, a team, can come and they are given a theme, and within 24 hours to 48 hours, they have to create an entire game. Okay, so by visiting these game jams, okay, you get a fair idea in terms of how now people think about game ideas from a theme itself. And finally, kind of go through your game news sites. There are a lot of games news sites where new games are highlighted, whether it's on Steam or whether it's on any other news website for games. So these are the 10 ways of coming up with new and amazing game ideas. Like I said, the most kind of famous way of coming up with a game idea is you kind of think of your favorite game and you model and improve on it. Like I said, the Crush the Castle game is actually um, was the game which was remodeled and improved on and was made into an Angry Birds game. Similarly, Doodle Jump was the game which kind of created from Papi Jump. Okay, Clash of Clans was actually created from Galaxy Life. Minecraft was created from Infinity, Infinity Miner. Crossy Road, which you can see on screen, where uh, the character has to cross the road, is actually a take from Frogger. Now, Frogger was a kind of a um, arcade game. I used to play Frogger way back in the early 90s. and in these small shops which had these arcade games or video games that we call it, and you had to put in a 50 paisa or a 1 rupee coin to actually play it. And Frogger was the most popular of it. We had a queue lined up for just playing Frogger, and everybody was like an expert in Frogger. And it was like um, a talk of the town if somebody used to beat the highest record, and everybody used to know about, oh, this guy has beaten the record, and he became a kind of a trendy guy who was a gamer of sorts. So all these Super Mario Brother, Super Mario games was actually a take from Pitfall as such. So all these are game ideas which were actually older games, and then kind of improved on and made into a better version for today's world, a new generation, much better gameplay experience, much better game mechanics, much better storytelling as well, to kind of create a very popular game from an old game. So these were like the different game ideas. Now we come to the game design document. So what is a game design document as such? Okay, documentation is seen as the least fun part of the game development process. So people think it's pretty boring, which now not the um especially the traditional documentation that used to happen. Many opted to skip it entirely, and now no one. They used to say no one reads game design documents anyway. They become outdated the minute you finish writing them. Okay, so rigid multi-page game design documents had no place in the modern game development. So because too many pages, 100 plus pages, it has everything you can see on the left. So many of things, it was not something that the modern game development process was looking into. So instead of totally skipping game design document process itself, it evolved. Okay, and it evolved. It became agile as and when, because I'll tell you in what is the difference between an agile and as well as a traditional way of documenting your game design. So, but to start with, what is a game design document? Okay, a game design document is a document which serves as a blueprint from which your game is to be built. It helps you define the scope of your game and sets the general direction for the project, keeping the entire team on the same page. Okay, because this is something that everybody contributes into. So that is why the game design document is a very important process which evolves with time and with structure itself. And further, it, it reshapes itself. So a game design document includes a few things. What does it include? It includes an executive summary, which is the game concept, what genre this game is all about, the target audience, and the project scope. Okay. All these, except and some more things, etc., is part of the executive summary, which is one part of the game design document. The second part is the gameplay. What is gameplay? Is the objectives, the game progressions, and the in-game graphic user interfaces. All that and more is the gameplay, which you have to mention in the game design document. The third part is the mechanics, so the game mechanics, which are which is the rules, the combat, the physics, etc. Fourth part is the game elements, which is the story, the characters, the locations, the levels, and much more. And finally, the assets, which includes the music, the sound effects, the 2D, 3D models, etc. So these are the 5 things that go into a game design document. Okay. So, so what is the difference between a traditional game design document and an agile game design document? A traditional game design document is a Word document of 100+ page document, detailed a documentation, which tries to explain every detail of the game up front. Okay. As the game development process became more agile, the approach to documentation evolved as well. Okay. And the document, so rather than doing away with game design document altogether, the documentation process adapted to support the creative, iterative, and collaborative process of game development. So there is a team of people who actually add to the game design document, and it evolves and creates, reshapes itself. Okay. So what are the best practices of the modern day game design document? You need to keep the game design document lightweight. Okay. The original game concept doesn't always work out. You might have to scrap the game or pivot in a different direction. Either way, keep the initial documentation to a minimum simple manner. So you don't have to rewrite a multi-page document. So it should fit in a single page and let it evolve from there. So even if you change things, it'll be just one page which needs to be kind of modified. Second best practice is write the game design document collaboratively. Involve your team in the game design document process from the start. Unless you are a solo working indie game developer, make your game design document the central hub where your team members discover, discuss, and solve the issues together. Next point is the game design document should evolve together with the project. A game design document is only useful when it is up to date. Okay, so everybody has to contribute it on a daily basis. So first of all, you need to choose a documentation tool. Okay, uh, for that we'll discuss about how Neutrino is a networking documentation tool that preserves a version history also. And let your design document evolve together with your game by updating it daily. Okay. So that is the kind of best practices of a modern day game design document. Another point is you have to use visual aids. Don't let your reader drawn into text, too much of text. Many ideas can be much clearly conveyed using graphs, flowcharts, and concept art. The best way is to turn your entire game design document into a mind map. Okay, I'll show you an example of what is a mind map. Okay, so on the left you can see Neutrino is like a visual, has a visual tool. You can have text as well as images and a mind map as well. Okay, I'll show you the mind map as well. So using a game design template is a good starting point. That is another best practices of the modern day game design document. So you use a game design template to start with. Okay, no two game design documents are same. However, using a game design template may be a good starting point. Depending on the scope of your game development project, your design document may end up being very brief or fairly long and complex, depending on what it is. So your first iteration can be simple one-page overview. Like I said, make it into a simple one-page overview. So as your game evolves and details begin to take shape, you may want to create dedicated documents of different topics as such. So this is the mind map that I was talking about. Okay. So very important in terms of what what a mind map is all about. So we'll discuss what a mind map is. So let me summarize in terms of the characteristics of a good design document, a good game design document. It is modular, it has a goal and requirements, it is collaborative, a result of a discussion between the team members, it is clear, brief, and concise, it is visual in terms of use a lot of multimedia, and it leaves space for creativity and debate within the team to improve on it. And obviously, it has to be online, collaborative, more than just a text file. Okay. So let's talk about mind maps. Now, on the left of the screen, you can see that this is a mind map which is created in Neutrino, which is a networking collaborative tool between you can have 10 people kind of accessing this document or this kind of a file where they can put in their inputs in terms of a game design document. So you have an overview, you have a level design, you have a story, chapter 1 to 3, you have a timeline, you have gameplay, you have assets, whether 2D, 3D, or sound. And depending on whichever team member is involved in whichever department, they put in their inputs into that. And there are different versions of it which can be created as well. So mind maps are actually diagrams used to visually organize information. So you can see rather than text only, you can actually see the mind map is much more visual and understandable. A mind map is a great way to organize ideas and draft an outline, okay, of what will be written in more details later. Game design is all about solving problems, and every game designer should try to use them whenever they feel that the simple writing or brainstorming is not helping to visualize on paper their ideas and thoughts. So that is why you use a mind map as such. This is an example of a mind map. You can actually see sometimes a mind map in a game design document proves to be a great way to communicate the rationale behind decisions. Okay, the now you can see this is an image of a generic fantasy role-playing game, which is also called RPG. And so there are different ways of kind of creating a mind map. You start with the central idea of or a concept at the center, which is the fantasy RPG game. Okay, that is your seed as such. So then you kind of branch out in terms of, say, the storyline. So storyline is a branch, and in that you have the story is about a princess getting kidnapped by a monster who invades a kingdom, and the king needs help. Okay, so that's the storyline of say a fantasy RPG game. You then get into another branch, which is the art style. Okay, what art style you need? Is it cartoony? Is it light? Is it colorful? Okay, okay. Then you get into another branch, which is the enemies, the characters, which is enemies can be the boss, dragon, giant, or orc, or chief. What are the enemies like? Then you have the monsters, which is the orc, trolls. You can have different kind of monsters as well. So you describe and evolve your fantasy RPG game from a seed itself. So it is better to kind of add a lot of text and then create a mind map out of it, which has more details, is more visual, and which follows a radial hierarchy as such. So this is purely what a game design document is all about. Uh, so I am just wanting to make it more short and crisp. So this is what we are looking at. Is there any questions on this? We can take some questions. You guys can put in your questions there. What I'll also do is I will create a video of this topic, the game concept idea and how to create a game design document. I could not add a lot of videos here because of the bandwidth, and which will be kind of recorded videos posted on the online varsity. There is a link which the RAH will share with you, and you can get and watch both this topic, a video on this topic, as well as the storytelling topic which I had done earlier, the storytelling for games and gameplay experience. So is there any questions for you guys? Today we had a very small attendance, and thank you guys for taking your time and attending this session. Harpreet,
Yes, boss.
do we have any
Hello.
questions? Do we
No,
have any
right now
questions?
we are not able to see any questions from any of the participants.
Okay, so we have 19 attendees, right?
KD, if anybody have a questions, so please write on your chat box. Amit Kumar and Amika.
I try to make it much kind of shorten my presentation because of the attendees, and we'll record this in detail and I'll kind of post it on online varsity. So
Boss, maybe
I get
nobody have a question.
I don't think it's a very simple topic, so maybe you don't have any question on that. So Vishal, we can wind it up. I will share the video with you
Okay.
and post it on
Sure.
online varsity. Guys, that video would be much more elaborative and with a lot of video examples as such. So please go through that as well. And thank you for your time to kind of attend this session. And I'm hoping that this will help you in terms of delivering the module topics, which is part of the 3D digital game art and design program as well. Okay. Thank you guys.